Well, welcome along to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta on a pretty much picture-perfect afternoon, wherever you're joining us around the circuit or indeed around the world. Great to have your company, big international audience for this Friday afternoon as it is in Braselton, Georgia, Friday evening in Europe. 8:30 in the evening in Europe, 9:30 Central European time. People beginning to plan their motorsport weekend, and fabulous that you are joining us. Could not be better conditions. Beautiful blue Braselton skies, and that is the closest conurbation to where we are at Road Atlanta, which has been here for a few years now, just over 2.5 miles and 12 corners, a circuit that has had some changes down the years, notably it's turn 10 A and B. It used to sweep all the way through and have people scraping on the bridge abutment there as they went through 11 and plunging down to 12. We've had the new pits put in on driver's right, of course, in more recent time. In the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre, I'm John Hindhoff. Jeremy Shaw is with me, and he's going to run down the grid for us for the 35 starters. Jeremy, take it away.
No jingle? Okie dokie. This is the Fox Factory 120, round 8 of the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. As John said, we've got 22 GS cars, 13 TCRs to make up the 35-car grid. Starting at the back then in the TCR field, Gavin Ernstone, winner last time out in the Road Shagger Racing Audi car number 61, but had an off in qualifying, so he will start at the back of the field. Row 17, making his debut this weekend, both the driver and team, as AOA Racing, and an Audi RS3 LMS TCR, car number 85, is Gino Manley. Alongside him, Ryan Block, and number 5 KMW Motorsports with TMR Engineering, Alfa Romeo Giulietta TCR. Row 16, another debutant from Braselton, Georgia, Cliff Brown in car number 94. That's one of 2 Atlanta Speedworks Honda Civics making their return to the championship. Next 2 cars on the grid ahead of them, both also Honda Civics from the LA Honda World Racing Team. Car number 73, back after missing the last race, is Mike Lamara, former series champion. Alongside him, Polster last time out, Taylor Hagler in car number 77. In the 29th position on the grid, Spencer Brockman. In number 29, Brian Herder Autosport with Curb Agajanian Hyundai Veloster NTCR. Alongside him, another similar Hyundai, but from a brand new team to the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. That's Copeland Motorsports. Car number 27, 16-year-old Tyler Gonzalez. In the 27th position on the grid, twice a pole sitter this season, car number 23, Fast MD Racing with Speed Syndicate, that's an Audi RS3, is Max Faulkner. Row 13 of the grid, the second row in TCR, Ryan Norman, the championship leader in car number 33 for Brian Herder Autosport with Curb Agajanian. 2 more sister cars ahead of him on the grid. One of them is Mark Wilkins in car number 21, and qualifying second and missing his first pole position by just 0.055 of a second is Mason Filippi. On the pole position then, his first ever pole for the Atlantic Speedworks Honda team in car number 84, making his 50th start this weekend, is Todd Lamb. Row 11 of the grid, car number 93 for Carbine Motorsports and Audi. That's is Mark Siegel, alongside the Rebel Rock Racing Chevrolet Camaro, car number 71 of Frank Depew. Row 10, Gary Ferreira, number 99 Automatic Racing Aston Martin Vantage GT4, alongside the 718 Cayman GT4 Club Sport. Car number 20 for M1 Racing LLC is Ryan Nash. Row 9, Vin Barletta, car number 96, one of 2 Turner Motorsport BMWs, alongside the only McLaren 570S GT4 car in the field for Motorsports in Action. Car number 3, the former race winner this season, is Sheena Monk. Robert Eklund makes his debut at Road America in car number 09, the Automatic Racing Aston Martin Vantage, alongside Tom Collingwood for BGB Motorsports, the number 38 Porsche 718 Cayman. Row 7, Tim Probert, car number 65, Murillo Racing Mercedes. The similar car for LAP Motorsports is car the Englishman Dan Clark making his return to the championship. James Clay will start in the 12th position in one of the two Bimmer World BMW M4 GT4s. And alongside him, Bryce Ward in car number 57, the Winward Racing Mercedes. Another Mercedes for Riley Motorsports will start 10th. That's Jim Cox in car number 35, alongside James Pezek in the Ford. Row 4, Scott Maxwell, another Ford, and Nick Gallant in the number 80 BMW. Jeff Mosing and Alan Brynjolfsson started on the 3rd row. Nate Stacey and Russell Ward on row 2. And on the front row, Robbie Foley for Turner Motorsport BMW, car number 95. And on the pole position is last year's champion, car number 39, with Carbine Racing with Peregrine Racing, is Tyler McQuarrie in the Audi.
Who jumps out into a decent lead as the green flag flies, and the 2 hours Fox Factory 120 starts to count down up to the top of the hill, and McQuarrie leads it from Robbie Foley in 2nd place. Aston Martin just getting pushed back into 4th position, having briefly had its nose ahead in 3rd, but it's Russell Ward for Winward Racing in the dark AMG, and then the Aston, the multicoloured Aston, catching the curve there, coming down through turn 4 and getting a little bit of a slide on before heading through turn 5. Remember, 2 very bright Archangel Vault coloured cars here this weekend. The Aston Martin is new for them, going through turn 6, first time out, and the 4th car in relatively rapid succession. 4 different manufacturers that Alan Brynjolfsson and his team have run their former steed, pressed into service by M1, who had a very nasty incident in the promoter test day on Wednesday, when the car went straight on and out of the circuit at turn 6, and the McLaren then not serviceable, so they have changed. Ashley Freiberg and the team have changed to the Porsche Cayman. Side by side, Ford Mustang versus BMW out of 10B. That's Nick Gallant and Scott Maxwell, with James Pezek sitting in behind in the Mustang. Also in there as well, James Cox, the Riley Motorsports, the Wins coloured car. They are battling for 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th position, with James Clay not too far back there in another BMW. Tremendous racing, but it's allowed Tyler McQuarrie to get a 2nd or so lead over Robbie Foley in 2nd place. They're already through the S's. Optima Batteries BMW goes through at the top of the hill. Fabulous run. And who's the light coloured AMG in there? That's Bryce Ward, who's up to 12th position for Winward Racing. He's the father of Russell Ward, who's running in 3rd. He's making up positions. Already into the pit lane is Todd Lamb for Atlanta Speedworks, the local team. That looked like a drive-through to me. Incorrect qualifying tyres, drive-through. Absolutely rookie error for those guys, and they've been given a drive-through early. Start is under review, so the pole sitter in TCR already with the drive-through, and that's gifted the lead in TCR, the number 23 Fast MD Racing Audi. Shea Adam is our VP Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock reporter. We'll get a word from her in a little while to see if we can find out any more details, although incorrect qualifying tyres rather gives us the clue. Alan Brynjolfsson then battling down through turn 12 with Jeff Mosing, and takes the 5th position from the Murillo Racing number 56. McQuarrie for Audi, BMW Foley for Turner in 2nd, 39.95. Then the Aston Martin Vantage, the multicoloured car with the light blue on the top of its livery. That's Nate Stacey in 3rd. Then Russell Ward pushed down to 4th now for the darker coloured Mercedes with the blue shade band. Down through the S's, those two, with Brynjolfsson, Mosing, Maxwell, Galanti, Pesic and James Clay for Bimmerworld in 10th position. My goodness, what an opening. Great battling, Jeremy, but what a start by Tyler McQuarrie. Championship contending team who've done just a super consistent job. Great results for them, and what a fabulous start from the front row of the grid.
Yeah, astonishing start there for Tyler McQuarrie. I mean, he was on the pole position by 7/10 of a second. A ridiculous margin. We just don't see those sort of margins in the Michelin Pilot Challenge. Where they found that speed from, I really don't know. Although in actual fact, it wasn't them going quicker so much as everybody else not going as quickly as they were a month ago when these when we raced here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. But some great battling down the field. There's a TCR battle, looks like 3 wide there. It's going to get interesting when they get down to turn 10. Just a shout out there for Alan Brynjolfsson in that Archangel Motorsports Aston Martin. It equals, well, no, he's 1 shy. His best ever qualifying was right here at Michelin Raceway 3 years ago in 17 when he made his rookie season. He started 4th, started 5th today, and he's running 5th at the moment in car number 7.
Yeah, and I remember this is the first time he's driven that car. I don't think they even had a chance for much of a shakedown with that car before they got here. Max Faulkner having a cracking scrap at the moment with the hordes of Hyundais behind him. Ryan Norman, Mark Wilkins, then the 29 car in there as well. But the Audi at the moment still holding out ahead of Spencer Brockman and the rest of the team. Parker Chase to jump in that 29 car later on. There is a new car in there, the Copeland Motorsports number 27, famous racing number. It's the white Hyundai that sits at the back of the Hyundai train behind the light blue car, white with the very orange wheel arch extensions on it. Stands out, looks fabulous. Welcome to Copeland Motorsports, and that means we've got 5 Hyundais in a row, in a line behind the Fast MD Racing Audi, then the Honda Civics of LA Honda World, and the second of the Atlanta Speedworks car. That's the 94 car, and the pole sitter, remember, Todd Lamb, already been into the pit, but has put the fastest TCR lap of the racing, Jeremy, with a 1:30 as he's charging back in a little bit of clean air. Didn't drop off his class lead lap, so he has got a chance to close down on the cars ahead.
Yes, he has. But look at this, the pace once again that Tyler McQuarrie is showing here at the front of the field. He's already stretched his lead to the better part of 2 seconds inside just 4 laps. He has set the fastest lap, reset the fastest lap last time around, just a 100th of a second quicker than his previous lap, a 1 minute 27.557, and that is still a long way away from the lap record that was set earlier, just a month ago, 26.2 by Phil Ellis in the Mercedes who closed the stages of the race a month ago. So nowhere near those times yet, despite perfect conditions here this afternoon.
That's Jeremy Shaw in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre for us here as we are in the early stages of a 2-hour concept. I'm John Hindhaugh, and Shea Adam is in the pit lane. She's been talking to some of the teams and drivers and has this VP Racing Fuel pit and paddock report. Shea, what have the drivers been telling you, particularly the Carbon guys at the front of the field?
Well, for Carbon, this is a race of redemption because a year ago they came into the round on the Petit Le Mans weekend knowing that all they had to do basically was start the race to clinch the championship. This year, they have a full-on battle on their hands with this 60 Aston Martin of Tcr Motorsport. So they decided to come out swinging, and boy, have they ever. Tyler McQuarrie, when I talked to him last night, said the car is awesome, way better than the last time they were here just a month ago. I've seen across every series, the lap time's dropping due to the cooler weather. This Audi, thanks to Steve Dine and setting it up, is just, it is unreal. And when Griff plays this off, he isn't sliding the car around very much. He said it's a very comfortable car to drive.
Shea Adam.
Yeah, of course. Shea, I mean, completely different circumstances 1 year on. Last year, they had the championship all wrapped up. All they needed to do was start. This year, they're behind in the championship, only by 7 points. So they really need to go for it this time around, and that's exactly what they are doing.
It's Shea Adam, and she'll be keeping an eye on the pit stops. Everybody always wants to know what the pit stops are. This is the 2-hour, the standard length of race. I'll get Jeremy to run through what we expect to see from the two classes here in a moment or two. Just watching Frank Depew having a bit of a battle with BGB Motorsports and the number 38 car, and then behind them there's a whole host of TCR's catching them up. Also, we've got the automatic racing Aston Martin. That's the number 99 in there as well. So that's the back of the GS field. And Max Fulton there, Ryan Norman, Mark Wilkins, all beginning to close up. And for a moment, they're 3 across the track coming down into turn 10A in the TCR battle. Quality driving from all concerned. The bright red, second place, Ryan Norman driven Hyundai Veloster. Comes down the inside of turn 12. That's a brave manoeuvre, but he takes the lead. Brave and effective. Super driving by both. And it looks like this slightly rearguard action from the fast MD and Ryan Norman driven Audi with all of those Hyundais bottled up behind him. For a moment, there was 4 wide coming into turn 1. But the Hyundais getting into their stride here, Jeremy. A lovely overtake by Max Faulkner to take the lead of TCR.
Yeah, great stuff, isn't it? Super battling amongst this train of cars, and the youngster at the back of that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 position. That is the car number 27. It started by Tyler Gonzalez, 16 years of age. He is Tyler, but he's not the youngest driver in that car. Because his teammate Tyler Max is also 16, just had a birthday early this week on Tuesday, to be precise, just turned 16 on Tuesday. So this pair of youngsters, average combined age is 32 only, for goodness sakes, ridiculous, isn't it? But they're running very, very impressively in the early stages of this race. Both of them have a pretty strong pedigree. They both raced in the MX-5 Cup Mazda Series. They've raced in the SRO, TCA and or TCR, winning championships there for Tyler Maxson in the last 2 years. So they are very talented drivers and hanging on to this train of cars in the lead battle for TCR.
Fantastic effort by Alan Brynjolfsson. Jeremy mentioned earlier on in the number 7 Archangel Motorsports Aston Martin Vantage GT4. New fastest lap of the race for that car, and for Alan, 1:27.453. That's the fastest lap in the GS, the GT4 field. Magnificent stuff from Brynjolfsson, who's really getting down to business in that new car. Now, Shea Adam, we have a TCR Brian Herder Autosport Hyundai Veloster leading. Then there's an Audi, which is a bit of an interloper, and then another handful of Hyundais hoarding around there, and they've kind of not all the same team, but they have been working together this week.
Exactly. It's considered a Brian Herta Autosport customer support team for Copeland Motorsport. Both of the Tylers that Jeremy was just talking about took part in all of the BHA race debriefs, the strategy meetings. They've had a BHA engineer with them all year. And since Brian Herta is the official sales representative for Hyundai in the US, Tyler have now been dubbed the Little Brothers.
Ah, I see it. Very good. We have a very big problem at the end of the lap. The GS at number 22, Scott Maxwell driven Multimatic Ford Mustang, is into the pit lane with, I think, 3 wheels on the wagon. He's just about beaten in the... Now, I think that's one of the left-hand side wheels on that car. Hang on a second, he's got all 4 on that, just about. So he's had contact with someone else, because there is, or seems to be, most of the tyre at least. Big slide sideways. It's Brynjolfsson's wheel. Brynjolfsson, having just put the fastest lap of the race in, goes into the driver's right under the bridge, rips off a wheel and tyre and part of the suspension, which bounced out in front of the Multimatic Mustang, and Maxwell goes straight into the pit lane. So Brynjolfsson right up behind the Winward Racing Russell Ward driven AMG GT, lost the car coming out of 10B, nosed it into the wall at 11 under the bridge, and has ripped off the left front wheel. So I was right, it was a left front wheel, it just wasn't from the Mustang, it was from the Aston Martin. And the debut for the Volt Racing Aston Martin has been short but sweet, but not finished in the way they would have wanted. And it's big damage on the right front, Jeremy, for Scott Maxwell and the Multimatic Mustang.
That's a tremendous shame. Alan Brynjolfsson there trying to duck out from behind car number 4, which was Russell Ward. He was looking to make a pass there, but he just pulled out a bit too rapidly, going up the hill to the crest of the hill and underneath the bridge. Lost control of the car, and that was a big crash for him. And poor old Scott Maxwell, boy, Multimatic Mustang team, they've not had an awful lot of luck. They had a good strong finish though here a few weeks ago, and they've had some good results here in the past, of course. In fact, Sebastian Prio won the race here 1 year ago.
Correct.
So, and was on the pole position. So a really disappointing end to the race for that car number 22 as well.
Alan Brynjolfsson out of the car without any assistance when it was safe to do so. The AMR Porsche Cayenne S intervention vehicle is there, as is the IMSA AMR Chevy safety truck. Just misjudged coming out of turn 10B, Brynjolfsson that is, and he got right up underneath the back of Russell Ward. I don't think he touched him, but as Jeremy said, tried to jink out to the right hand side, and in doing that unsettled the back of the car, almost like pinching the exit of the, or turning down out of the exit of the corner, just as the car was getting, I think, a little bit squirrely as he was getting on the throttle, and the car turned sharp right, started to drift into the wall. Alan got on the brakes very early, black Michelin rubber across the track, but the left-hand side did about 180, and the left-hand side heavy contact to the bridge parapet there on driver's right, ripping off the right front, the left front wheel, which then bounced out and hit the right front of the Multimatic Ford Mustang. Scott Maxwell must think it's not his day today. Absolutely nothing he could have done. Fortunately, the wheel was down on the ground, the wheel, tyre and part of the suspension actually, which had been ripped asunder from the Aston Martin GT4. Oh dear. Safety car is out, by the way, as you might imagine, in all of that. Didn't mention that before, but it is a full course yellow. There'll be no pass around, as that happened within the first 15 minutes of the race, Jeremy. I mean, very unfortunate for the number 22 Ford Performance driving school supported Multimatic Ford Mustang and Scott Maxwell.
Well, it really was. Yeah, they finished second here just a month ago, and they were quick at Mid-Ohio too. They had some bad luck in the second race, got taken out in the second race at Mid-Ohio, but having had a top 5 finish in the first race. So it's been a real kind of roller coaster ride for this team. But they had some tweaks to the balance performance before the race here last month, and the car was right on the pace, and they certainly were looking for a strong result again this weekend, but it's not going to happen.
And Alan Brynjolfsson, having only a couple of laps, maybe actually the lap before, turned the fastest lap of the race in that Aston Martin, going very well. I mean, speaking to a number of GT4 teams and drivers, and GT3 teams and drivers as well, asking them about this new crop of cars and the evolution kits. The Aston Martin GT4 getting a very, very good write-up from everybody who has tried the car. Generally accepted, I think, in GT3 world, that the Mercedes-AMG GT3 is the most comfortable car to drive for gentlemen drivers, non-pros, and the easiest car to drive consistently. Well, Aston Martin seems to, at the moment, have got the balance right for that GT4 offering, and Brynjolfsson up the pace in it very, very quickly indeed, but it's ended early. Still another Aston Martin in there though, in fact in third position for Nate Stacey. Tyler McQuarrie leads behind the safety car for Carbon with Peregrine Racing from the BMW of Robbie Foley. That's the number 95 Turner Motorsports car. Then Nate Stacey for Court. That's the Aston Martin with the light blue colour on the top of the car. Then Russell Ward in the dark grey with red hindquarters, dark maroon hindquarters, Winward Racing, Mercedes-AMG. That's the number 4 car. Then Nick Gallant in the Bimmer World BMW number 80. Murillo Racing is the Tangerine Chrome Mercedes-AMG GT4, the 56 in 6th position. And in TCR, Ryan Norman leads for Hyundai and Brian Herter Autosport in the 33. Then it's Max Faulkner in the dark grey Fast MD Racing with Speed Syndicate Audi. Behind him, more Hyundais. Mark Wilkins in third position in the 21. Mason Filippi in the 98. That's the eggshell blue car. Then the Spencer Brockman 29 car. Then that new white and orange number 27. The two Hondas, Honda Civic TCRs, in fact 3 then, with 77 Tyler Hagler car. Mike McNamara in the LA Honda World cars, so 77 and 73, those are the two team cars. Then the Atlanta Speedworks 94. KMW Motorsports, the Alpha, in 10th position. And this is good news, I think, if I have a look down, for Todd Lamb, who's now, of course, right on the back of the TCR field, having served his penalty drive through the pit lane at the start of the race for incorrect qualifying tyres. So yes, he's at the back of the field, but he's got well over an hour and, well, pretty much an hour and 40 minutes to make up some ground. That was the pole sitting car. Just before all of that action ensued, Jeremy, we were going to talk about pit stops, and we're already into what looks like it might be a lengthy clear-up procedure under the Fox Factory bridge. TCR is pretty much good to go on just one stop. This will massively help them here. It is a quick track, but this will certainly play into the TCRs doing it in one stop.
It will, yes, and I think for the GS cars it's still going to be a bit of a stretch, but this will help them as well. As you say, there's still a bit of clean-up to go there. Hats off to this Multimatic team. They haven't given up, have they? They're going to try and get that car back out again. It's going to be many laps down. He's already 3 laps down to the lead. He's about to go 4. But hats off to them. They are going to try and get that car back out on track if they possibly can.
Our hard-working safety crews, the safety 4 crew is there in the Chevrolet IMSA AMR safety truck, retrieving the wheel, the tyre, the hub, the brake assembly as well, which was ripped from the Aston Martin. That could have been very nasty indeed. The Aston Martin, or at least what's left of it, is already on the rollback. Great work by the recovery drivers and recovery crews as well, doing a fantastic job to get that car recovered. And thanks to all of our volunteers, marshals, the flaggers, safety crew, track services, of course. They'll have to put some tyres back in position underneath the Fox Factory bridge. We've also like to say thank you to our medical team and in the medical centre here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. And whether you've been checking tickets and passes at the gates or parking cars and pointing people in the right direction, generally been helpful. Thank you very much for giving up your free time to let us go motor racing this weekend at Motul Petit Le Mans. I'm afraid to say, Jeremy, the more I get the chance to have a look at the damage to that Aston Martin, the more I realise how substantial that is. You never want to see a wheel ripped off. That's already going to be suspension. I think there might even be a bit of chassis damage there. That's been a fairly hard hit, very hard hit for Alan Brynjolfsson and the Archangel Motorsport number 7.
Yeah, it really has, and that's that's the bridge abutment doesn't move much there. They've got the tyre barriers protecting it somewhat, but still, that's a massive impact there. Go back to the old track here. Before we used to have the 10 and 10A chicane that there is now. The cars used to go down much farther down in that dip. They filled in at least probably 15-20 feet worth of dirt at the bottom to bring that track surface kind of higher up in elevation terms. But it used to be a flat out kink to the left there, and then up the hill straight, basically aiming straight for the bridge abutment on the left hand side of the racetrack, where you turned right on that crest of a hill. That was really, really scary, that place. Thankfully nowadays we don't see the sort of accidents that we just saw now very often.
Yeah, I hear plenty of stories through that compression and up the other side of people using the bridge abutment to straighten the cars out and just gently trying to rub through there. Never saw that in period myself. Seen it on video, of course. Well, part of the changes that were enacted when Dr. Don Penos took this place over in the 90s. A few changes there, and of course on the new pit lane on driver's right, used this weekend by the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. A lot of earth had to be moved to make that one happen. But for the most part, Jeremy, the character of this circuit really hasn't changed, other than those changes which were done for safety's sake and to allow fast cars to continue racing here in the modern era. But the rest of the track has remained fairly untouched in terms of its layout, and that for me is a good thing because the character remains.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, the rest of the track is pretty much the same as it was. They moved the retaining wall back a little bit at turn 12 from where it used to be, but no, the character of the track has remained. And I was lucky enough to race on the old circuit here and the new one, and they're both a tremendous challenge. The car I drove, even the car I drove, it was a Bridgestone Supercar race. It was a Mazda RX-7 Turbo. We were doing 150 miles an hour through that kink corner at the bottom of the hill there before you head up towards the bridge. The prototype cars were doing well over 200 miles an hour at that point. And I remember back in the late 80s, like, was it sort of year I was 87 or 8, the Nissans, tyre factors going through that kink up the hill, just horrendous looking accidents. Thankfully the drivers weren't hurt, but the cars certainly were.
Great work by the Multimatic crew to have cleaned up as best they could the front end of the number 22 Multimatic Mustang. 4 laps down on the class leader, but with a new set of tyres, and returned to action. And they've done a very good job indeed. A little bit of sort of battlefield engineering there to get that car back out and pointing in the right direction. And it looked pretty straight, actually. Only the driver will be able to tell them whether that is tracking straight. They didn't have a chance to reset the suspension, etc., if it had been damaged. And there's nothing more worrying than going back out on the track in a car that's being built. What you've got to do is just have total confidence in your pit crew. It's happened to me before, and you've just got to do it.
Yeah, for Scott Maxwell, of course, he has the utmost confidence in this Multimatic team. He's been working with these guys for years and years and years. He's from the Toronto area where the team is based, and he's done a lot of development work on all of their cars over the last, goodness gracious, I'm not sure how long he's been with the team, but it's been an awful long time. And he has a fabulously close relationship with everybody at the Multimatic Motorsports operation.
Yeah, and he will know how that car is meant to feel, Jeremy. So anything that's a little bit off, he'll either be able to drive round it or radio back into the pits and say, I think might need to have a look at that. I always remember having to have a front suspension, lower suspension arm replaced when I was racing an Aston Martin in a 24-hour race, and being sent out in the team, the number one saying to me, we haven't had a chance to restring that up, we're just going to send you out, take it easy for a couple of laps, let us know what you think. And I get the radio call after the first lap, after the second lap, the first flyer. How was that, John? Well, it's the first time I've been into top gear down the back straight, so I think it's all right. It was actually better and quicker in a straight line than when we started. So the guys basically just stringing it up by eye and did an absolutely cracking job. And I did my fastest 2 laps of the race in that stint, which was an extraordinary thing to go. But those guys know what they're doing. As I say, a little bit of battlefield style engineering, but they've got that car running again. Still behind the full course caution and the safety car out. Just got to do a little bit of track work now on the right hand side. We've removed the number 7 Archangel Aston Martin GT4 from the left hand side under the Fox Factory Bridge. Now the right hand side has to have the tyre bundles put back into position to guard the concrete abutment there, and we've got the front loader there to help with that. Oh, beautiful bit of work. I'm very, very envious of anyone who drives forklifts or those sort of machines. The articulated front loader just moving the 4 bales of tyres into the right place, and at the same time track services. And I think I saw the IMSA safety truck with that is laying down the oil dry. I think that's been borrowed from Sebring, actually, because it has got hashtag respect the bumps on it, and the Alan J logo on the back of that truck as well, which I always associate that firm of auto retailers. Huge they are in Central Florida. I always associate that with the Sebring area. So the Volvo forklift just doing the rest of its job now, and the AMR safety crew making sure, the ladies and gents there, making sure that they're happy with what they're looking at. Thumbs up, so the Volvo will disappear.
Yeah, you know, it's so surprising, John. There's only looks like there's only 2 layers of tyres there up against that bridge abutment. I'm surprised it's not a bit more than that.
I think the problem is, if you put any much more on, it would encroach so closely to the track that it might actually bounce people off.
You could kind of stagger them.
Could.
A little bit, perhaps. It might be something that they might think about for the future, and leave a bit of a gap in there to sort of absorb a little bit of the initial impact. I mean, like I say, incidents like the one we just saw happen very rarely these days. Yeah. I don't recall one like that. Probably has been, but I don't recall one since they changed the track layout. So, you know,
we had Gunnar Jeanette on the left-hand side under the bridge, just beyond the bridge, from a side-by-side, when he was in the Delta wing, if you remember, and ended up on top of the wall, which was a very scary-looking accident. But he was young and fit and bendy, and extricated himself from that and got out. But that's the only one that I can remember of that incident. I think it was Peter Lesafra, the GTC Porsche driver. Peter Lesafra. Damien Faulkner's co-driver. You cannot say Peter Lesafra's name without saying it in Damo's accent. Back to Scott Maxwell. Hello, Damo. I know you'll be listening. Haven't seen you for too long, my friend. Nice job on the TV at Le Mans, by the way. Maxwell back in again, so clearly hasn't quite felt that everything is okay on that car. It's going back up on the air jacks while the guys have a look, and they're putting the dollies underneath to make sure it doesn't drop down whilst they're working on it. The bonnet, the hood is up as well as they're looking at the suspension mounts. That took a fair big whack there. That was, I mean, the wheel and tyre on its own, Jeremy, is quite big, heavy, but adding the hub and the disc brake assembly as well, which was still inside the wheel, that's a significant thing to hit at any speed, and Maxwell was accelerating, because you're accelerating flat out underneath that bridge there.
Going pretty quickly there. I mean, I'm sure now, even coming out of the slow chicane, they're still probably doing 90 miles an hour or thereabouts, I would imagine, going up over the crest of that hill there. And you know, there was no warning for Scott Maxwell there. And yeah, I mean, these Fords are built pretty stoutly, but it's caused a huge amount of damage on that right front corner of the car.
Thanks to Alan Prosser, who's ISO'd some pictures which we've just retweeted on @IMSA Radio, which is how you get in touch with us here. Another wiggle of the front wheel, and Scott Maxwell is back out again. Now, what I haven't seen is the pit lane opening, so effectively that car has entered a closed pit, but I would think that would be allowed as emergency service. And I hear, by the way, that Damien Faulkner is driving a Tcr Buick in the Tourist Trophy at Goodwood this weekend, the car belonging to Till Bechtolsheimer. So good luck to Damo in that. We're back to green flag with a lot of all dry still down at turn 11. Fabulous work, but we've lost the better part of 20 minutes or so of driving there. Mistake at the top of the hill by, was that the BMW? Yes, it was. And lost a couple of positions as through has gone Robbie Ward. So that was, I think, Nick Gallant, who just lost his way at the top of the hill for a moment. Gallant in the number 80 Bimmer World M4 GT4, white car with a purple on it. And now he's being mobbed, including by the Murillo Racing chrome, tangerine and black Mercedes through turn 7. Little tap on the court, on the PF rather, Racing Ford Mustang, the James Pesek car. I think that was Bryce Ward that was right in behind him there. Yes, it was. In one of a couple of fairly standard looking Mercedes AMG, if you can have a Mercedes AMG GT4 looking fairly standard, but in silver colours with not many racing stripes on them. The second one behind him is Speedy Dan Clark, I think, who's up to 10th position. Fair play to the former IndyCar driver. He's done a bit of TCR racing in the past, but hasn't done a lot of of GT racing, Jeremy. Holding his own.
No, he hasn't. He did do the first race of the season with Anton Pereira, with whom he's sharing a car now. But he just did that first race. It was run by a different team. But Anton is back this weekend. They've taken the car across to LAP Motorsports, running for the very first time. That's Luis Pericarpi's operation that used to run the Minis, now runs the LA Honda World TCR cars. But they've only had that car for less than a week. So it's been a very steep learning curve. And Dan Clark, as you say, is doing a nice job there in the top 10 in car number 10.
He was. Shea Adam has news from race control on a couple of penalties that have just been assessed as we've gone back to green in this VP Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock report, Shea.
Well, at least it's consistent that the cars that are getting penalised are the cars that haven't been racing very much.
Just a second, Shea. We've got more action at turn 7, and this time it's the... I was going to say the Volt Racing Cayman there, but of course it isn't the Volt Racing Cayman anymore. It is the M1 Racing Ryan Nash car. Just went a little bit wide at turn 7, and he's dropped back 2, 3, 4 places maybe there. It was very tight, and he's now side by side with the BGB Motorsports Porsche Cayman, so he's dropped down to 18th, 19th position, 3 Hyundais wide into turn 10A at the moment. And through, and I think just about getting the better of that was Tyler Gonzalez for Copeland Motorsports as he went down the inside. That was the best line to be on, a mix up a couple of positions. Shea, sorry, back to you with news of the penalties.
All good. LAP, which is the team that we've associated for running in TCR with Hondas, they are running the number 10 Mercedes this weekend. That car made a pass under a local yellow, resulting in it needing to serve a drive-through penalty. And we had car number 94, which is the other Atlanta Speedworks car. That one has a penalty also for incorrect starting tires. So both of the Hondas from that organization just up the street from Road Atlanta, they started on the wrong tires. At least the team's consistent.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't understand what the problem. They changed starting times into the Shea, or what's the deal there? I don't understand that, to be honest.
Yeah, they did, but they didn't declare that they were changing their starting tires. It was just an accident. I've spoken with the Honda representative who said it just comes with a bit of brain fade, having not raced in the series for a bit of time.
So they should have gone to the back of the grid and declared the tyre change. They didn't, so they get the drive-through instead. Local yellow infringement for car yellow for car 10, the LAP Motorsports Mercedes. So that's Dan Clark, and he'll be annoyed with himself for missing that one. Once again, the curse of Jeremy Shaw. We've got a TCR. After we were praising him, we've got a stranded Audi just coming out of turn number 7. And this is the yellow and blue number 85, the AOA Racing RS3. Was sitting in towards the back of the field, and we're going to have, I think, another full course yellow. Yes, we are. Yes, we are, I'm afraid. So, unfortunately, the 85 car has ground to a halt. And that's Gino Manley who started that car, the man from Fernandina Beach, Florida. So more work for the BMW safety car, Jeremy. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, the number 10 car, I don't think it served its penalty, so maybe they're arguing something there with race control.
Good luck.
Because we haven't seen that car come in. Yes, exactly, come into the pit lane. But Luis Pericarpi has been around for a long time. He knows what the rules are, and he will, if he thinks he's got a case, he will bring it up with the chief steward. But once again, Tyler McQuarrie was kind of checking out, just at a new fastest lap of the race on that last lap before we went to yellow, 1:27.3. Again, put it into perspective, the fastest lap record was set a month ago by Phil Ellis and Mercedes, 1:26.2. So still a whole second away from that. Kind of surprised. But what this next caution period I think is going to do is bring this quite comfortably now into the realm of a one-stop race if they choose to do so
for the GS cars.
field.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Fabulous memory from the Advantage, who's tweeted at IMSA Radio. He said, was there another crash under the bridge this year involving a stationary car? I can't remember whether it was Michelin Pilot Challenge or another series. I remember that now. I can't remember the full details, but I've got a feeling it was under yellow as well, now that you've said that. Shea Adam has the memory of an elephant. Shea?
It was the 35 Riley Technology Mercedes, which was stopped underneath the bridge, and the 65 Murillo Racing Mercedes, which plowed into the back of it.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah, well done. So, once again, work for the safety crews. Pit window due to open any second now, so we might see when the pit, again, no pass around from race control, and pits are not yet open. Maybe this is going to be a quickie yellow. We've only just got restarted, of course.
No, it won't be another quickie yellow because we're over half an hour into the race. Well, we're 15 minutes into the race, actually over half an hour. In fact,
yeah, but we haven't been green for very long, have we?
No, it doesn't matter. But when you've had one short yellow, you don't have a second short yellow. That's my point.
Right.
Yeah.
Pass around though, Jeremy. So that's interesting. Obviously waiting for something to happen here. In terms,
I think we'll be opening pretty shortly. Of course, minimum drive time is 40 minutes, which has now elapsed in this race. So drivers now can make changes, and they will have fulfilled the minimum drive time requirement.
Pits are open for GS, and I wonder, by the way, if that 85 car, damage to the left front of that car, and I think he might have nailed the back of Gavin Ernstone going into turn, in between turn 6 and 7 actually, and that might have caused the issue there, because Gavin had a massive slide on coming out of 6 and into 7 and did a very good job in saving it, nailed the throttle and managed to get it straightened up. VP Racing Fuel Pit Paddock reporter Shea Adam has the whole GS field coming towards it.
I love when this happens. Alrighty, so in order of how they came in, Tyler McQuarrie into the pit lane. He should be handing over to Jeff Westphal, his defending GS champion from 2019. Robbie Foley is into the pit lane in the 95 Turner Motorsport BMW. Why that's significant? Because he also drives the 96, which is also in the pit lane, meaning that for Turner Motorsports, Robbie has to get out of the 95, back over the wall, back into the 96, and then leave in that second car. This 60 Core Autosport Aston Martin is also into the pit lane. No driver change, by the way, for the 39 McDrifty, doing a fantastic job this weekend, is getting a little bit more time. Nate Stacey is out of that number 60 Aston Martin, though, meaning Kyle Marcelli has taken over. For the number 4 Windward Racing Mercedes, that is Russell Ward bringing the car in. Nico Bastian will be the one taking that car back out. 95 Turner Motorsports BMW is rolling, although a crew member did jump out in front of the car to try and make sure that Bill Oberlin had enough space to get back out and rolling. First car back off the pit lane was Tyler McQuarrie. He maintains that lead. Second car, I believe, might have been the 57. It was Alec Udell. Jumps up from 9th place into second, having taken over that car from Bryce Ward. We've also got driver changes. I believe that was a change, Dylan McIvern into the number 80 for Nick Galante, who started it. And we've got the 96 Turner Motorsport BMW is now done with its service in the pit lane. Robbie Foley, who did diligently climb back over the barrier before getting back out. Other notable driver changes, we've now got Robin Liddell in the 71 Rebel Rock Racing Camaro. That's the car that won the race at Road Atlanta not too long ago. Dylan Murray is into the 35 Riley Technology Mercedes. And who was the other car that I saw that caught my attention? Corey Lewis is into the 3, and they do have a working radio this time for the Mia McLaren. Hello, Mia. And Jan Halen into the BGB Motorsports Porsche for the 38. So those are going to be some pretty fast cars.
And you realise you've just blown up Mia's phone again as well.
It's so...
The team that is named after the young lady, and she, every time we seem to mention her on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV, her friends get in touch. So hello to Mia Kerub, who I know will be watching and or listening. So Jeremy, we'll get the TCRs in next time around. Fantastic pit stops from 1 or 2 people there. We'll have to see how it shakes out. And that is Eric Kerem-Stalker, of course, who is the team principal and owner of Motorsport in Action that I was talking about. Shea, let's go back to you first of all for the TCR stops. I suspect there might not be very many people changing rear tyres because they haven't done any work.
No, and they're just there to hold the exhaust up off
Correct.
the tarmac.
Thank you, Martin
Unfortunately, this pit sequence coming under yellow is not going the way that Brian Herta Autosports hoped it would, because it meant that all of their cars are coming in at once. Normally, they like to stagger their stops, so there's driver changes going on up and down the pit lane for all of the Hyundais. This should be their one stop, and then this will be a fueled stretch for the remainder of the race. For the number 77 Honda, that is Taylor Hagler out. She did a great job to start. And hometown hero Ryan Eversley taking over. The Alpha is in. Roy Block has gotten out of that car, and it is Tim Lewis Jr. who's taken over. We also have to give a shout out. The 73, the other LA Honda World entry, is back this weekend. Mike Lamara started the car. It's Matt Pombo taking over, another one of our local drivers. John Morley is into the last race out, winning Audi, the 61 Road Stagger Racing. So Gavin Ernstone doing a good job there. Also, notable changes in the Hyundais. We've got Mikey Lewis now in the 98. We've got Gabby Chavez in the 33. We've got Parker Chase in the 29. And who else did I see? Oh, we've got James Vance in the 23 Audi. That's Fast MD. Oh, and Harry Gottsacker in the 21 Hyundai. That's the black one.
Yeah, and definitely Gavin Ernstone was hit at turn 7 earlier on, which I think might have precipitated the issue for the number 85 Audi. If my race control feed is anything to go by, I think the 23 of James Vance was out first in TCR, then followed by the 33 of Gabby Chavez, 2 Hyundais there, then Harry Gottsacker in the black 21, another one, and then John Morley in the 61 Road Shagger car, which is an extraordinary turnaround because Gavin Ernstone was the last car into the pit. However, Shea Adam, not all the TCR cars pitted.
Neither one of the Atlanta Speedworks Hondas came into the pit lane during that, but they both already have been down the pit lane serving penalties. So if you see that with the number 1 next to them on a timing screen, that's why.
Shea Adam with that.
Yeah, and I think I'm thinking perhaps, John, we've got an hour and 13 minutes to go. Probably going to have another lap, maybe 2, of course. So 70 minutes to go.
Too far.
I'm not sure the TCRs can do 70 minutes.
Good thought.
So I think that'll be a bit of a stretch. So wondering maybe that's potentially the reason why neither the Atlanta Speedworks car came into the pit lane. For the GS cars, I said this brought them into the realm of doing a race on one pit stop, but that would require certainly if they would have to stay out. They certainly can't get to the finish, I think, from here.
Not if it's all
so
great, no.
I think all the teams are coming now. They take on service. If there's another lengthy caution, maybe they can get to the end without making another stop. Otherwise, at least everybody is going to be in the same boat.
Final wave by is ongoing. Same race control. I just saw the battered and bruised, but still out there in the fight. Number 22 Mustang going by. So if you trackside and watch your cars overtaking behind the safety car, that is what's going on. The final wave by. Now, are we going to have a class split? Yes, we are. So the 2 Atlanta Speedworks Hondas in their dark blue and yellow, which I always think, I don't know why, Shea, but I always think Michigan when I see those cars in the dark blue and yellow.
Jim Roller's influenced you.
Yes, he certainly has. Hello, Mr. Roller. Hello, Betty. I'm sure you're tuned in somewhere. Jim's birthday a week or so ago, a little over that now. Same day as Martin Haven, funny enough, who we were talking about when we were taking his saying in vain about rear wheels holding exhaust off ground for front wheel drive cars. So we've got the GS class split. That means the 2 Hondas then will go back towards the rest of the TCRs, and it was indeed James Vance in the Fast MD Audi that got out first in the number 3 car from Gabby Chavez for the Brian Herta 33 car. That's the red one. Then Harry Gottsacker, the black one, the 21. Behind him, it's Gavin Ernstone. Well, it isn't Gavin Ernstone now, actually. It's John Morley who's got in the 61 car. Oh, hang on a second. I'm now just seeing driver change John Morley to Gavin Ernstone? No, that can't be right, because Gavin started the race. So maybe John's switched the driver ID back to where he thought it should be, and Gavin had already switched it on the way in or something like that. But whatever, that was a heck of a pit stop, Shea Adam, from the Roadshagger Racing team, because Gavin was one of the last cars in. He'd been hit by the 85 car, and I think he was sitting in maybe 10th or 11th position when that happened, and the car's gone out in 6th.
It's not the first time that the Roadshagger Racing crew has had a better pit stop than pretty much anyone else on the pit lane. Often their races are won and lost based on the work of the crew. Not to say that the drivers aren't doing their part, but just to say that the crew are that good. And to be honest, John, it's one of those things that when you go to the podium after Roadshagger Racing is won, everyone is celebrating because everyone played a part in the win.
Yeah, I think they must have short-fueled that car to take the position, the track position, and as Jeremy said, with another pit stop almost certain, must be a tactical manoeuvre, and I like that. It's brave. Shake it up. If you do what everybody else does, you don't get anything different from what's going on around you. As far as GS is concerned, Jeremy Shaw, who was the big mover there?
Car number 35, massive jump by the Riley Motorsports team, came into the pits in 11th position, left in 3rd with young Dylan Murray at the wheel of that car, local driver, of course. The Mercedes, we know it's a very effective tool here. Number 57 car, by the way, also a bit the big gainer. That came in 9th and went out 2nd. Shady talked about that a little while ago. So it's going to be quite a bonfire here at the restart. But number 39 car did maintain its lead. Tyler McCory, Alec Udell then in 2nd place. Dylan Murray 3rd. Carl Marcelli, the championship leader, in 4th position. Then Bill Oberlin and Nico Bastian, a German driver making his Michelin Pilot Challenge debut for Windward Racing, driving alongside Russell Ward, because the regular driver, Indy Dodger, committed to racing in Europe this weekend. Green flag.
Yeah, getting some reports as well of possible damage on the number 71 car. That is the Rebel Rock Racing Camaro. That car running in 8th position now, with the rapid Scotchman Robin Liddell behind the wheel. So we'll try and get eyes on that car and see what's going on. Another fabulous start from the car barn with Peregrine Racing Audi. Tyler McQuarrie jumps away. It was 0.8 of a second across the line there from Alec Udell, now in 2nd place for Windward Racing in the number 57 car. What a start for him. That was the car that was started by Bryce Ward, the elder of the two, the father of the father and son pairing. And that, again, I would suggest would be a bit of tactical fuel filling and a short fill to get them out there. Shea Adam has news of penalties in this VP Racing Pit and Paddock report.
The automatic racing car number 09, that's the one that's shared by Ramin Abdul-Vahabi and Rob Eklund, who, as Jeremy said, making his Road Atlanta debut. Pit lane speeding, plus 3 kilometers an hour, is a drive-through, but then also wheel rotation while on the jack stands. That's another drive-through. So 2 drive-throughs for that car. And for the Fast MD car, James Vance taking that over from Max Faulkner, leaving with pit equipment attached drive-through penalty.
They had such a good pit stop up until that moment. They got out ahead of the rest of the TCR cars. They were the leading TCR car that stopped. All of that hard work has gone. Battling for 3rd and 4th now. Dylan Murray for Riley Motorsports in the wins-coloured Mercedes, with the core Motorsports machine right in behind. That's Kyle Marcelli now as the number 10. That was the car that Dan Clark started, and his teammate has now come into the pit lane. That's the overtaking under a local yellow drive-through that is being served now. You can't obviously serve a penalty whilst the safety car is out. You have to wait until you've had a lap of green, so that's why that car is in now. Thank goodness I remembered that. I should have jotted that down from earlier, but I remember now Jeremy saying they hadn't taken it yet. Maybe there was a bit of an argument going on there. So with 1 hour and 7 minutes still to go, Tyler McQuarrie by 1.5 seconds. Then Alec Udell in 2nd position. Robin Liddell is now making a move on the other Windward car as he goes past Nico Bastian. sort of. Yes, he is past. He's got a little bit of space, but here comes the AMG down the inside into turn 10A at the bottom of the hill. He's got better track position, but Robin is later on the brakes and goes through. Takes the spot in the white and green Urban Grid Rebel Rock Racing Camaro. Fabulous news, by the way, for Camaro and Mustang. Sorry, Jeremy, go ahead.
Excuse me, John. That 71 Camaro is going to be hard to beat. That's the car that won here. There's Blartanoff. I think he caliber 95 for a bit of ground, but the number 71 car that won here a month ago. And Robin Liddell, he was quickest in the first session yesterday morning. That car is flying. He's already now made up a couple of positions since the restart.
Yeah, and just a note, by the way, I know we had a lot of yellow in that opening stint that Frank Depew did, but he started 21st, and that car restarted in 8th position. So Frank kept certainly kept out of harm's way and got the car in. Clearly didn't use an awful lot of fuel, and they've got Robin out with a very quick car indeed. Still trying to find out if the reports of damage on that number 71 car have been confirmed. We'll keep an eye on that. Core Aston Martin under pressure now. Kyle Marcelli with a couple of cars around him, including the number 35, which is Dylan Murray in the Riley Motorsports machine. Going round the outside, Alec Udell just ahead of them. Oh, a little bit of rubbing. Bill Oberlin in the blue and yellow BMW, and then the rapid Robin Liddell. Oh, and as well, I'm not sure if that was meant, but into the pit lane for the Wins car. I think that was a bit of hip and shoulder there, and he had no choice but to take to the pit lane. Or is that a penalty? Shea Adam, did the 35 pull a penalty?
It's a penalty. Jeremy was commenting on how good their pit stop was. People over the wall before the car came to a complete stop. Drive-through penalty for Riley. That's a rare day that Riley earns a penalty. And just to add on, car 09 came in to serve its drive-through penalty for one of its two. It was 12 clicks over and got a stop and go.
Bad, from bad to worst. Oberlin in the dirt, coming out of turn number 1, and somehow manages to keep it off the wall. Just a few moments ago that was, and I'm not sure how he managed that, but he did, and he continues in 4th position, just ahead of Robin Liddell. Bill Oberlin is actually a living, breathing human being and can make the odd mistake, not the not the robot that everybody says he is.
Automatron.
Automaton. He got there in the end. Alex Udell will be in the 2nd place, but already lost 3 seconds to the leader. It's another great restart from Tyler McQuarrie. A little more dust thrown up
there, BMW.
again. So that's going to have a little more of the Georgia Clay, and off for the Mosing racing car, the Murillo racing car. Down at the bottom of turn 12, takes out a couple of sponsor banners. That's the 56 car. And Eric Voss does very well to keep that car off the wall. This is all getting a bit physical out there, and I don't mean in the Olivia Newton-John sense, he says, showing his age.
Yeah, it's pretty robust, isn't it, out there at the moment? You're right. No quarter asked or certainly given, that's for sure.
I think it was Eric Voss who was side by side with Dylan McAvan in the BMW. Now he goes off at the exit of turn 5 and clatters across the transition. He may have done a bit of damage to a tyre there, or maybe to the suspension. He's weaving around trying to get the advertising board off. So down at 10A is where it all started. They were side by side, and there was a bit of hip and shoulder there, definitely from the AMG. And then at the bottom of the hill, he dropped off the road himself after that rub. Dylan McAvan will not be overly pleased there. Oh, actually, he was side by side again and trying to hold on to a position to the 2nd of the car barn cars that came through. That's the Tom Dyer car, the number 93 in 9th position. So round the outside a couple of times and wins one and loses one, I think, on that one.
Yeah, call it a draw at the end of the day, huh?
Possibly.
But certainly it was, It was some stout racing going on down there. Goodness gracious! This battle for second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And Corey Lewis in there as well in car number 3, hanging right with that battle. He's moved up well. Came into the pits in 14th place after the first hit by Sheena Monk. And that McLaren is working well now. We've got it's Audi, Mercedes, Aston Martin, BMW, Chevrolet, finally a second Mercedes, then a McLaren and a Porsche in the top 8 positions. So 7 different cars in the top 8 at the moment. Then Tom Dyer, who's running really nicely in kind of a 93. He's made up already 4 positions since the restart.
Jeremy Shaw, he's with me in the Agony Global Broadcast Centre. Shea Adam, our VP Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock reporter. Quick word for M1 Racing LLC in a newly acquired 718 Cayman GT4 Club Sport. They expected to race a McLaren this weekend, one of the 570S GT4s. That plan went somewhat awry with a braking issue at turn 6. Ashley Freiberg is now in that number 20 car and has just done the car's fastest lap of the race, 1:27.5, which stacks up very nicely indeed. We have had a 26 in the GS field from Jan Heerlen in the PGB Motorsports Porsche. And Abdul Valharbi has just popped into the pits as well. Jeremy, sorry.
That was the sister car. That was the 65. 56 off the road, I think, wasn't it, that time, going up the hill towards turn 2.
So that everybody's having a go.
I think Brett Mosing.
Yes, correct.
Got himself a something there. Yeah, okay. Meanwhile, out the front of the field, it's still Tyler McQuarrie who's pulling away from Kyle Marcelli. These are the top 2 in the championship. Number 39 leads this race from the number 60 now, as Alec Udell has found himself shuffled down the order.
Jeremy, just a quick interruption here. We've got drama in the TCR category. I think this is probably tactical, but Shea Adam, the championship leading number 33, Veloster, is in the pit lane. No, there's damage to that car, Shea.
It's not tactical. The left front wheel is jammed in the wrong position. It's actually pointing a little bit too far left. They came in with a 7-point advantage, did Gabby Chavez and Ryan Norman, but this looks really bad. Suspension damage. I don't think that's just the wheel, the angle at which it's at, but this is going to take our championship leaders out of the championship lead, given how many cars are in the category. If they finish last, this is going to be a disastrous day for the 33.
Yeah, John Morley came into the pits as well in the road shagger number 61 Audi, and he has not yet come back out again. We also had the 09 automatic Aston in as well, but I don't think that was involved in this, but there's certainly been some kind of contact, and they're going to try and give it a go to fix it. But interestingly, there's not that much damage here on the bodywork on the left front of that bright red number 3300.
No, there was a slight bit of damage toward the rear of the brake duct, almost as if where it is, but just superficial. The tire, as it came off, had a big stripe in it, but the front of the car looks pretty much okay. There's actually a mechanic leaning over the guardrail to try and get a better view, just putting a fist down to try and leverage himself up further. But this car, again, needing to spend more time in the pit lane, this is a bad day for their championship hopes.
Yeah, and that is a steering arm that they are going to replace. They were going to work with that quite clearly. Well, what drama in the TCR Championship. Sorry, Jeremy, I interrupted you there, but when I saw Chavez coming in the pits of the championship leader, I thought we'd better reference that as it came in the pits. Robert Liddell, by the way, up to 4th position now for Rebel Rock Racing, make that 3rd as he's just gone past Nico Bastian in the number 4 Winwood Racing car. And where's the 57 gone? Alec Udell has dropped right down to 7th position.
3 laps to go, all of a sudden he lost a lot of ground when the Aston Martin got past him. I didn't see what happened. Either I was looking the wrong way or we didn't catch it on...
So much going on.
Something, yeah, exactly right.
So much going on. There's concern down in the pit lane, as also in the pits the fastest GS car. This is BGB Motorsport. Shea Adam.
Wasn't expecting to see the Porsche back in, but yes, into the pit lane. and just waiting to see what the pit time actually is to try and diagnose what kind of service they're doing. But this is a car that Jan Halen has spent a lot of time in this weekend. They've been perfecting the Porsche to try and get it ready for the end of the race, feeling that Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta is a very good opportunity for that team to get its first win.
Well, I reckon the GS cars must be getting quite close to going to the end from here, Jeremy.
I think so. 56 minutes to go. Yeah, I think they reckon they can stretch the fuel and get to the end. They might need a little bit of a caution here. It's a bit of a stretch, I think, but certainly I'm sure unless the car's had a problem, then there'll be a planned stop by BGB Motorsports. As you say, Jan Halen's been super fast this weekend. He was quickest in the second practice session yesterday, and that car showed good form all weekend. Ironic, isn't it, that the 7 team should switch away from a Porsche this weekend into an Aston Martin, but for a while had the fastest lap of the race, and the Porsche that the number 7 team turn their back on is now has the fastest lap of the race.
And it was fuel only 1 minute and 11 seconds total in the pit lane, which is exactly the same, well, pretty much, as what the leader spent the last time in the pit lane too, whereas everybody else was closer to about 1 minute and 20.
Okay, hearing now that the incident that caused the Hyundai came in, the 65 AMG that we saw off the track, went over the grass and on returning hit the Hyundai number 33. That's the report that we're having. And if that is the case, that may well be being looked at by race control. And here's another penalty for pit lane infractions. There's been quite a lot of these today already, and this time, Shay, it's an incorrectly attired crew member.
For the car that we were just talking about, Jan Halen with the BGB Porsche, improperly attired crew member while fueling. The good news, it's just a warning.
Oh, right, okay. That is very good news, because I reckon that was their last stop. And now we need to keep an eye then on Jan Halen as he comes back through the field with everybody else still in the GS field to make their stop. Making your last stop first, Jeremy, it's always a bit of a calculated gamble with so long to go to the end of the race. But they were sitting just on the outskirts of the top 10. They had some pace, but probably not the pace to get all the way to the front. This might give them a little tactical advantage.
Yeah, just on the inskirts of the top 10, actually running in 7th place they were before that pit stop. So, you know, it's interesting. You know, if you're the first one to make your pit stop, particularly if you can stay on the lead lap, which I'm not sure they have done. Maybe they have done. Yeah, they should have done. 19. Yeah, should have said. Well, I don't know. It's going to be tight, to be honest. We'll have to wait and see until we see the cars on the racetrack. But if you can stay on the lead lap, you've made your final stop. If there's a full course caution, almost certainly you're going to have to make a visit to pit lane. If you can stay out, you will leapfrog to the front of the pack. So that's what I'm sure. That's what the team is hoping, and we'll try and get a glimpse of where that car is in relation to the overall race leader, Tyler McQuarrie.
So double penalties for the 09, as we mentioned earlier, and they will have to come in again because they were speeding as they came in to serve the first one. Bill Oberlin with the new fastest lap of the race, 1:27.2. Robin Liddell's been down in the 26s, a 26.9 a couple of 3 laps ago. He's now in 2nd position. And now remember this, 3 seconds away from Tyler McQuarrie. Now, Tyler McQuarrie has no fight with Robin Liddell in the championship. Robin Liddell wants to win the race. Do that calculation in your head yourself.
Got a new 2nd place car, the Urban Grid Chevrolet Rebel Rock Racing. Robin Liddell up into 2nd place. He's got past the champion leader. Here is this battle, heading now into turn 6 at the far end of the racetrack, the south end of the racetrack, and it's the Chevy in 2nd place. He's got past that very fleet Aston Martin, hanging right with the nose. Is Nico Bastian making a very solid debut for this Winward Racing team. And Bill Oberlin right there as well in the Turner Motorsport BMW. This is a 4 car battle for 2nd position. Only about a 2.5 back down the road are Corey Lewis and Alec Udell battling into the number 3 and the number 57 car for 6th position.
Got a problem for the number 27, Tyler Maxson. couple of motorsports Hyundai Veloster. The bonnet, the hood, is not properly fastened down and it's flapping around a little bit. Race control will be taking a long, hard look at that and deciding whether that car needs to get the mechanical issue flag, black flag with the orange spot in the middle, the make ball flag. Meantime, Shea Adam, the further problems for Jan Heerland's car.
Went behind the wall, so it wasn't just an early fuel stop. There was something bigger plaguing that car.
Oh, that is very bad indeed. That takes them out of the fight totally.
Yeah.
So 51 minutes to go. Robin Liddell up to second. Now just still on 3 seconds, as we mentioned earlier on. He's pulled out half a second from Kyle Marcelli. The core Motorsports Aston Martin Vantage. Then we've got the first of 2 Winford Racing cars in the top 7. Nico Bastian, he's got Bill Oberlin about a second behind him, and Corey Lewis for the Motorsports in Action. The Mia McLaren creeping up as well, that number 3 car, the McLaren 570S GT4. Then Alec Udell, the second of the Winwood cars. That's the silver number 57. Dylan McAvan for Bimmer World in the BMW. That's the number 80 car, with the purple on it. Tom Dyer for Car Park, the second of the 2 Audis in the grey and green.
It's a new best lap of the race for our race leader. Not the fastest lap, but a best lap for Tyler McQuarrie in that leading number 13. Is the lead, though, is actually coming down. It's coming down by for the second. Each of the last to Robin Liddell in the chasing Chevrolet. Kyle Marcelli doesn't have quite the pace of the Chevrolet here today, but he's looking to not lose too much ground to Tyler McQuarrie. If McQuarrie can hang on and win this race, that's what he needs to do in terms of the championship. The Audi came in to this race 7 points behind the number 60 Aston Martin in the points championship.
That's Jeremy Shaw. Shea Adam is our VP Racing Fuel pit and paddock reporter. And just looking at TCR at the moment, Todd Lamb for Atlanta Speedworks. Now, he's been through the pit lane, so if you're watching timing and scoring, there is a pit stop to his name. And of course, that was a drive-through, so he hasn't actually made his pit stop yet, which leaves Ryan Eversley for LA Honda World Racing in the lead of that category for the time. Well, effectively anyway at the moment, although he's 10 seconds behind. But Todd Lamb with 48 minutes to go, I just wonder how much further he can go into the race. We've had an awful lot of yellow, of course, here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, Jeremy. But Todd Lamb, remember, had that drive through. So yes, he's been through the pit lane once, but he's yet to get full service. We'll keep an eye on that. Eversley from Maxon, from Mikey Lewis, then Harry Gottsacker as the Hyundais stream through. Shea Adam watching the clock for Todd Lamb and Atlanta Speedworks, because whatever he's got in the tank, it's the clock they've got to be watching now. Why is that?
Minimum drive time must be met by both drivers in the car, and there is 7 minutes and 45 seconds left until that minimum time elapses. Figure he's going to spend about a minute and a half in the pit lane, so that car needs to be down the pit lane visiting us within about the next 5 minutes, or else they're going to be disqualified.
Yes, and what you don't want to do is a safety car to come out and the pit's not to be open to allow you to get in, so you never want to cut it too fine. But that will easily take them to the end, and they'll have very good tyres. In has come the 98 car. That's Mikey Lewis in the Hyundai. This looks like full service to get them to the end, Shea.
I don't like this, though, John. This car is second in the championship coming into the weekend. 7 points off of the 33, the car that had that suspension damage on the left front. They do have a little bit of a buffer over third in the championship, and by a little bit of a buffer, I mean 4 points over the black Hyundai. That was fuel and front tires. They did 2 front tires. Normally, if they were worried about fuel, they would have come in and splashed him, but that tells me that there was a tire issue.
Okay, so 46 minutes to go, but that car we know for sure can go to the end from here. As in from the lead, here is that stop we were waiting for, Atlanta Speedworks in the number 84, the dark blue and yellow Honda Civic TCR. So it will be Todd Lamb getting out, and through goes the 77 LA Honda World Racing Honda Civic TCR of Ryan Eversley. Shea Adam has the stop.
Eversley leads the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Meanwhile, we have that 84 in. It is Brian Henderson taking over, the youngster from North Carolina, who's very handy around this track and in these cars. Longtime teammate of the Atlanta Speedworks organization, also into the pit lane. I did see the 21 of Harry Gottsacker, which means that perhaps this was a planned stop by Brian Herta Autosport. We're doing front tires, by the way, on the Honda, as the driver change is still going on. The door is still open. Fuel nozzle is, still attached. So Todd Lamb used every drop of the VP fuels that he could possibly get out of the tank. And all they're waiting on now is the car to be done with the refueling, and then it will be sent. I'm also showing and hearing, though, John, we might have a Honda stopped out on track somewhere in the first sector. Look 73. Out for the 73.
Yeah, correct. It is the 73, and it's at turn 1, and this might fire off a bevy of pit stops. 27 in as well, the Copeland Hyundai, as in comes a couple of the GS cars as well, including the Turner BMW. That was Robbie Foley who jumped into the 96 car as well. Oh, and the 73 car buried in the tyre world at turn 1. It's going to be a safety car, and the safety car is out. Full course yellow. Full course yellow is called. Oh my goodness. This is going to throw the cat among the pigeons. That Honda, the 73 Honda, has gone a very, very long way off in turn 1 and is buried in the tyres. So anybody who got in before the safety car was called will be able to make their pit stop. Good news is that the driver's door is open on that LA Honda World Honda Civic. And, a very unhappy driver getting out. I think he may have been helped into that predicament, given the body language there.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Mark Pombo, local driver, he's got a huge amount of experience here. He's super fast, and I don't know, either he's had a problem with the car or has got some assistance there. That's a great shame. The car was running really well. They were in that lead pack, pretty much behind the Atlanta Speedworks car, certainly, but it'd been a good run for them. Good to see them back, and you can see the disappointment for Matt Pombo, excuse me.
He was looking at the left front tyre. I wonder if there was an issue there or whether there was contact, because he was peeling parts of the bodywork back to have a look at that, being picked up by the AMR Cayenne
right.
S, I should say.
Well, let me tell you, John, excuse me, that there were 4 cars, I think, on the lead lap in GS that did make a pit stop right before that caution period came out. Number 80, 56, 82 and 96, Robbie Foley. They have then made their stops. I think everybody else is going to have to come in once the pits are opened.
White flag over the start-finish line does not mean that it is the final lap. It does mean there's a course vehicle out there. Beautiful afternoon, and both Tanny and Dennis are starters there in shirt sleeve order as the driver leaves the scene, but not in his own car, in the AMR intervention Porsche Cayenne S. Safety car out again for what is the third time of asking.
Yep.
And as the time ticks away, we have got now barely 40 minutes to go. Pass around will happen here, says race control. So again, we'll see cars coming out of line and moving through and beyond the line of cars. Normally like to do that on the back straight and pull to one side, but they haven't quite, the line of cars haven't quite got themselves organised. Just as a note there, race control do not tell read out a list of car numbers like a bingo card for them to go through. You are expected to know if you are eligible for a pass around, and therefore once pass around is said to commence, which is the message that's just come from race control, then you do it. If you do it and you shouldn't do it, the penalties are punitive, because clearly that's a huge advantage. You're going to do it down the front straight actually, which makes a lot of sense, and the TCR cars are going through. That would be the TCR cars that were caught between the race leader and their class leader. Multi-class racing, always difficult when you put out a safety car. You might disadvantage somebody who's got caught between, so to mitigate that, that is why that is going on at the moment. And it's going to take some time, Jeremy, because there's more tyre rebuilding to do at turn 1.
It is indeed, yes, you're right. That is, you're going very quickly when you get to turn 1, and that car went a long way off the racetrack and has buried itself in the tyre, so it's going to be a fairly lengthy clean-up here. We can at least get all the pit stops done. The next time around, I think the pits will probably be opened for GS cars, next one or the one after anyhow, and then the following lap for the TCR cars as well. So we can get all these pit stops done now while that clean-up continues at turn 1. There were several cars that did get caught behind the safety car, and I think, where's the number 80 car? Is that a lap down?
So again,
yes, sorry. It is. Number 80 car. Number 80 car was one of the cars that did come in right before the caution period. I don't think it made it out before the safety car came around, so I think that car's gone one lap down to the leaders.
Also the Murillo Racing 85 car, sorry, not the Murillo Racing 85 car, the AOA 85 car entered a closed pit. That was the TCR car that had a problem early on when it stopped out exiting turn 7. I think that was the one that rammed Gavin Ernstone up the rear bumper. But that car has rejoined after it was recovered back to the pit lane. Pits are open for GS. Shea Adam, what happened quickly before the GS cars come in? Did both Atlanta Speedworks Hondas get in, by the way, before the yellow?
They did. They did by the skin of their teeth. Both cars got in and managed to do both of their driver changes. As Jeremy was just saying, both of the Bimmer World cars came in, and they had planned to only do the left side tires only, but I did see right side tire changes happening at least to the 80, so perhaps that's why it dropped down the lap, because they weren't planning to do that tire change, and then they had to. So that would be some extracurricular information to try and gather from Nick Galante. He's been very good at sending me information. And by the way, all the cars in the field except for one team with stickers on their car for Racing to End Alzheimer's. It's a bit of unity going on in the paddock. And if you look closely, you'll see that little bit of purple on all the cars. Alrighty, almost all the cars, I should say. We've got GS pit takers. We've got the 39. Tyler McQuarrie is in. Oh no, this means that Jeff Westphal is not going to hit minimum drive time. The championship, second in the championship, they're not going to hit minimum drive time for Jeff Westphal.
Point. Great
he hasn't gotten in the car yet. He's just jumping off the wall now. We have 38 minutes to go in the race, which means he's 2 minutes shy. That's very rare of that organization.
Nothing they could do, though, Shea. Nothing they could do because of the safety car being out. That was what I was talking about, how dangerous it is to go right to the end of the race, right to the end of your stint.
That effectively means that if they can't make some sort of a plea to say, hey, we were going to come in, which effectively race control is going to say, yeah, too bad, they're going to be disqualified from this race and either wind up with minimum points or no points, which is basically going to hand the championship to that number 60, Core Motorsport, because they have 209 points, whereas the 39 has 202. Next in class was the 35 on 171. So this could be championship over because of one drive time error. Fuel and tires for that Audi, by the way. Fuel and tires for Robin Liddell in the 71 Camaro, who did get out ahead. And fuel and tires, it looked like, for the Aston Martin of Kyle Marcelli, who's got to be smiling to himself right now.
Shea, what's the rule? We've had this before, and this is why I'm asking, because I know you'll remember. What's the rule about when drive time ends? Is it when the time of the race runs out, rather than the checkered flag?
I believe it's at the checkered flag.
It's at the checkered flag, so not
But
necessarily...
it doesn't matter because we're 4 minutes, or 3 minutes past drive time now.
Unless we finish under safety car. That could be the only saving grace.
A lap time under safety car is 2 minutes and 47 seconds.
I think that's a mistake. I do think that's a mistake, but unfortunately, once they've committed to that, Jeremy, once the safety car came out, the only thing they could have done was entered a closed pit and taken the drive-through and changed the driver. And at least then they would have only had a drive-through rather than a full disqualification, which I think is what will happen for not meeting the drive time with both drivers.
Yeah, it's not a full disqualification, but what it is, it's the back, right at the back of the pack, so put to the back. Rather than if you DQ, you don't get any points at all, so they go to the back of the pack. But yeah, this is a crucial mistake, and the yellow came, the caution began with 43 minutes to go, so they would have had another couple of laps to make that stop. But you're right, if they'd come in under the closed pits, they would have had a penalty. They had to serve a penalty at the restart, so they would be at the back of the pack in any case. So just most unfortunate for that 39 team.
Just before we go for the TCR stops, and it is the number 77 that leads in the TCRs. It's the LA Honda World Civic TCR. Hello to McLaren Philadelphia, who are tuned in watching Corey and Sheena flying the flag. GT4s around Road Atlanta never disappoints. Shame about the M1 car in the early week shunt. Glad Ryan's fine. To all of you up-and-coming racing drivers, if you get a warning light on the dashboard, take it slowly. Yes, fair point, well made, McLaren Philadelphia. The McLaren customer racing dealer over there, and that's tweeted in at IMSA Radio. Shea Adam, what was going on for those TCR pit stops?
Ryan Eversley's going to be a happy boy. He's got new sticker tires on the front of his number 77 LA Honda World Honda, but he was beaten back out of the pit lane by the 23. That's James Vance. Remember, James had to come in and serve a penalty because of a pit infraction the last time that they did pit stops. Fuel and tires for that Audi as well. And also in the pit lane, it was Parker Chase, the number 29, Brian Herta Hyundai. That also was fuel and tires.
What a race this has been. Not really much flow to it because of the intervention of the safety car. Fourth time now that we've seen it out with its flashing lights on the circuit. We've still got just over 30 minutes to go, and I think we'll be back to green in the next 3 or 4 minutes. Such is the...
Excuse me.
Go ahead, Joe. It's all right, it's all right.
Did you see who's leading in TCR?
Leading in TCR is the Alfa Romeo Giulietta. Alfa Romeo Giulietta not leading in TCR, not leading at all, not anywhere near the front. KMW Motorsports, if you're listening,
no, quite.
Very sorry. This is, by the way, not just leading TCR, they are leading the motor race at the moment. They are scored at the front of the motor race entirely because of the way the pit stops have gone on. They have made a pit stop. That car stopped. Let me see.
Lap 21 during that first caution period.
Yes. So that was.
There's an hour and 22 minutes to go.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they stopped. They stopped after 40 minutes. That first stint. Sorry, no, I've got that the wrong way around. That's an extraordinary run for that car. Shea Adam has a little bit more as the cleanup continues at turn 1. This time, another bit of pit stop intel. This one for Parker Chase in the number 29. That's the Brian Herta Autosport Hyundai Veloster.
Thank you very much to my pit lane spies. You know who you are. The 29 Hyundai decided to put on sticker tires after they realized that they were the only ones in the pit lane not putting on sticker tires. So they were in the middle of refueling when they realized that everybody else was doing it. And so, hey, it looked like fun. And that's why they had a little bit longer of a stop.
Brett Mosing in the pit lane as well with a slightly bent and battered number 65 also in as well. The number 10 AMG. This is the car that was started by Speedy Dan Clark, former IndyCar driver, LMP Motorsport machine. Came into...
down.
Right, I was going to ask that, Jeremy, thank you. That car currently in the pit lane and was brought in. Sorry, I'm distracted by large forklift front loader doing its job down at turn 1 and doing it very efficiently indeed. Anton Diaz Pereira is behind the wheel of that, the man from Memphis.
I say it's a lap down. It was a lap down. It would have got. I think it probably would have got the wave around there when all the other cars came into the pits in GS. So I think it actually might be back on the lead lap, and they've just ducked in now. It depends whether they're able to get ahead of the safety. I'm not. I have to wait and see when they come around to see whether that car did get its lap back.
Yeah, the 09 Automatic Racing Aston dived in as well at roughly the same time, Jeremy, and they had been off the lead lap as well. So let me see where they are when they come around. They may have got out back. Are we doing a class split again? Another warning. It's time for the 23 crew. That's the Max Faulkner Fast MD Speed Syndicate car. They've had a penalty already. This was just a warning though, improperly attired crew member whilst fueling. Warning on that.
Was that from a while ago?
No, that was 3 minutes past the hour.
That's 2 warnings. That's unusual.
Yes, good point.
2 warnings for 2 different teams though.
Oh, different teams, was it? Beg your pardon.
Yeah.
It was
I thought it was number 23 before, wasn't it?
They had a penalty for leaving with pit equipment attached.
Beg your pardon.
I am scrolling back through. It was the 38 car.
You're gonna have to scroll a little way.
38 car. Yes, it was 40 minutes past the last hour. 38 car was improperly attired crew member while fueling, so that's consistency there. That's reasonable.
Wow. So leading the race now then is Robbie Foley, ahead of Eric Foss, to number 96, Riley Turner Motorsport BMW that leads, from Eric Foss in the Murillo Racing Mercedes, then Gregory Learfouge in the Bimmer World BMW car number 82, then Robbie Foley again in 4th place, although it's Bill Oberlin driving that car, the number 95 car for Turner Motorsport. So earlier this year, they scored a 1-3 finish. Did Turner Motorsport? That was that VIR. Yes, VIR. With the they finished. Robbie Foley finished 1st and 3rd. Potentially can do the same or even better this afternoon.
And whilst we're talking about VIR, there was some very good news this week after a very scary-looking incident at VIR for one of our IMSA drivers, Shea.
Devin Jones, I know you're probably listening out there, Devin. Congratulations for getting back on the bicycle. And I do mean that. He went for a long bike ride earlier this week with his girlfriend by his side. But his car, the 82 Bimmer World BMW, currently up in 3rd position. And what a result that would be for Greg Learfouge. And of course, James Clay, the team owner, James, who normally drives with Devin Jones and is very eager for his normal co-driver to come back full time.
Yeah, and great news to see that he's back up and around again and doing a bit of exercise. Still a little way to go from what we're hearing for Devon, but we wish him all the best in his rehabilitation.
Yeah, and the number 80 car, we talked about that being trapped a lap down. That lap back. Number 10 car did not, I don't think, but number 80 car did. So Dylan Mann, in car number 8, the second of the Bimmer World BMWs, was behind all the TCRs, but I think when we get the class split again, he should be able to move his way forward up into the 16th position. Here we go.
Coming back to green, yeah, that was they pitted after the wave by, so they have to stay in position. Down towards the first corner, Turner Motorsport, Robbie Foley, Eric Foss for Murillo right behind, then the Bimmer World, then Bill Oberlin for Turner, so 2 Turners in the top 4, as Jeremy was mentioning. It's across the skyline, and right in there still Robin Liddell for Rebel Rock Racing in the Camaro. 1:26.9, the fastest lap for that car, and I think that's the fastest GS lap of the race so far for... No, it wasn't. It was a 26.8 for Jan Halen, but that car out, wasn't it? already behind the wall, the number 38 BGP Motorsports car. Down towards turn number 6, the car's hammering off the ground there. Here the spoilers and the underfloors catching for some of the leading cars. Down to turn 7, and the Murillo orange machine out of turn 7. Through the kink, the left-hander at 8 under the Motul banner over the back straight. And for a moment it looked like the AMG GT4 would pull out, but the BMW has pulled away. A little bit lighter and a little more fuel for that car in the BOP this week, and here comes another BMW. 3 in the top 5 BMWs at the moment, pressing home their advantage. Great drive from Bill Auberlen in the wet. Very different conditions a week later from what we had last weekend at the Charlotte Roval, but the BMWs performing just as well in the dry as they did last weekend in the wet. And Robin Liddell hunting around at the back of those 3 BMWs and the lone AMG GT4. Liddell now right in behind Bill Auberlen as they go through turn number 2 over that bright yellow ribbed curve to the right hand side, which I'm pretty certain is new for this meeting. It used to just be concrete on the top of there. I don't remember that being bright. There's a spin for Ashley Freiberg at turn 1. The M1 Porsche is turned around, but fortunately everybody's gone through. Nice recovery from Ashley, but that will cost her some time. She was inside the top 10 in that M1 racing machine. Has now dropped behind all the other cars.
Right in 8th position, that's right. So Robbie Foley leads. Eric Foss there in 2nd position. Huge amount of success, former series champion, of course, Eric Foss. But his last win, he hasn't. I don't think he's won. He hasn't won in GS. His last win was back in 2017 when they. Oh.
Sorry, Jeremy. I saw a carbon car with a puncture, and of course it's the 93, not the championship leading car. Bad luck for them, but there would have been some heart stopped, I'm sure, on the carbon peregrine wall as well. But that's such bad luck because that car was riding high as well earlier on, and now we'll drop through. Tom Dyer for carbon limping back to the pit lane, and we've had then another incident, but I think you'll get that car back. And oh, Fast MD. Well, we never have anybody hitting the bridge parapet on the left-hand side under the Fox Factory Bridge, and we've now had a car from each class. Almost exactly the same accident. Certainly the same place, and with 24 minutes to go, we get the safety car out again. The left front wheel just about hanging on. In this case, the right front wheel rather, just about hanging on in this case. But what a shame for Fast MD, who'd been up there really disputing it earlier on. And James Vance, his day is done. Now a front wheel drive going off there, must have had help. Yes, he did. And that was significant help from the inside from the Hyundai
29
it's the white and green car. Yeah, it's the 29, Jeremy. Good spot. He was in amongst the Hyundai horde there, and he got the Hyundai heave-ho into the tyre barrier that protects that very, very solid bridge abutment. Good news is James is moving around in the car, but the Fast MD Healthcare Solutions machine is not going to move. And with 23 minutes left, we've already lost a minute. It will be a quickie yellow, so a short yellow rather. So we will not open the pits and do any of the pass arounds. That's what that means. It's not about how long it takes to get the car out of the way and go back to green. It's in terms of what protocols are taken. By the way, the 65 of Brett Mosing did get out of the pits just before that full course yellow. I didn't see if the 93 got in and out, but I presume that would be allowed. But in fact, I know it would be allowed the service to replace the damaged tyre. Well, that was body language as much as to say I don't want to look at that car as I walk away there from James Vance. There you go, mate. There's the keys. You can get it going. It's all yours. Oh, dear. It's not been a good
the Alpha kind of got shuffled back there at that restart in TCR. It's still running in the 5th position, but it's, as you say, the Horn of Hyundais. It's Michael Lewis, Tyler Maxton making his debut in the 2nd position there in car number 27. Very, very impressive. And he's got a quicker lap than Michael Lewis as well. Last year's champion, of course, Michael Lewis, along with Mark Wilkins. Harry Gottsacker in the 3rd position. Those two, 1, 2, 3. Dylan McIvern is road, kind of working his way back up through the pack in car number 80. And then the pole sitting car, Brian Henderson, in 4th position in TCR, ahead of the Alpha of Tim Lewis Jr.
Door open on the 56, I think, just to get a little bit of air through. It's not that hot out there at the moment. Shea Adam, Tom Dye did get to the pit lane in the 93. The pits are closed, of course, but emergency services allows them to change the damaged tyre.
Yes, and unfortunately, this is not the day that they were hoping for. The last time out, the Carbon Motorsport number 93, actually with its best ever finish of 5th. It was a top 5 finish for Tom Dyer and Mark Siegel sharing the car once again this weekend. But they're in the pits. They managed to get the tire changed, and they will go back out, but they're not fighting for a top 5 anymore.
And if that will be looked at by race control as the hard-working safety and recovery team trying to move that Audi TCR. Tom Dyer out of the pits, having had the new Michelin thrown on the left rear of that number 93, but that's dropped him well back. I think he might have actually, because of how long he was running out there, it happened early on. I think he's dropped off the lead lap. Yeah, he has. Very unlucky. Tom Dyer.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
It's just unlucky that where it happened.
Yeah, they were running. Yeah, shame. They were looking for another strong result, having had a great run. Just recently they had a top 4 finish for that pairing, top 5 finish because it was last time out at Mid-Ohio, and running well here inside the top 10 as well for quite a while at least.
Let's run down the positions then behind the safety car. Here's how it stands in TCR. The top 3 are Hyundais. It's the 98, which is the light blue one. The 27, which is the white and orange one, that's Copeland Motorsport. If I don't say another team, it's Brian Herter Autosport with Kurger Agajanian, okay. The 21 is the black one with Harry Gottsacker. Then there's a GS BMW, but that car will be, I think we'll get out of the way because they'll still do the class split, I would think. So 4th is a Honda Civic TCR, that's the 84 Atlanta Speedworks, that's the navy blue and yellow car. Think Michigan, and you've got that one right. Then it's the KMW Motorsports with TMR Engineering Alfa Romeo. That's the black car with the dark red rear 3/4. And where did I get up to there? 6th position, Ryan Eversley in the Honda Civic number 77. Then John Morley in the dark grey number 61 Roadchaga Racing Audi. Then the Hyundai number 29, the Parker Chase car. Ryan Chase, where did I even get that from? The 29 car, the white and green car. 9th is the 2nd of the Atlanta Speedworks Honda Civics, that's the 94. And Ashley Freiberg is next, that's a GS car, so that's out of position. So in GS, at the front of the field, Robbie Foley leads for Turner Motorsport in what looks very good for BMW at the moment. Murillo Racing's bright orange tangerine chrome coloured Mercedes, the 56 in 2nd. Then Gregory Leifhuger in 3rd position for Bimmer World. It's a black and white car. Bill Oberlin in the 2nd of the yellow and blue BMWs, the 95 BMW, that is in 4th. Then Robert Liddell in the white and green Rebel Rock Racing Camaro, that's the 71. Top 6 made up by the core Motorsports, white, pink and blue on the top of that car, Aston Martin. Then it's Nico Bastian in the number 4 behind the 60. That's the Winward Racing Mercedes. That's the dark grey with maroon rear end on that car. Then Jeff Westphal in the 39 championship leading car bomb with Peregrine Racing. That's the dark grey with green. Chad McCumbee for PF Racing Ford Mustang. That's the number 40 in pink, and the top 10 made up by the Motorsport in Action McLaren 570S. That is in 10th position, except the lead has just come into the pits here, Adam. Jeff Westphal's just come in from the lead with the pits not open.
And this is going...
sorry, the leader in the championship, my apologies, yes.
Yeah, second in the championship for Jeff Westphal. This is not going to help their argument, because anytime that you enter the pit lane, your drive time stops and it does not restart until you exit the pit lane. As it is right now, they're about 3 minutes short of the minimum drive time.
Pit.
He's entered a closed pit. There is no work going on to the car.
They're
Jeff
retiring.
is getting out.
They're retiring it. They've worked out, I think they've worked out the issue with the drive time. I think that's what it is.
Well, I've just sent a text off to Tyler McQuarrie, so I'm waiting for that response, but I think they've gotten confirmation back from race control that they will not meet minimum drive time, and they will be disqualified anyway, so what's the point of risking the car?
Yeah, agreed. That's a big mistake for the second in the championship machine. And just to confirm that Tyler McQuarrie was in the car for, well, an hour and 26 minutes, but with only 20 minutes to Jeff Westphal and only 15 minutes and 40 seconds to go, he couldn't make the 40-minute drive time. Now, you see what happens when you mention the Alpha, Jeremy? I'm blaming this on you. The Alpha has come to a halt under the yellows. It's into the motorcycle chicane at the run down to the S's, and that beautiful black, and there is an Alpha colour that I think is called something like Vesuvius Metallic, which is black with a sort of Coca-Cola red underpinning, and that is, I think, is what the colour is underneath. It looks fantastic, but that car is overheating, and they've had engine problems on that car before from memory, Jeremy. They had a turbo problem, didn't they, a couple of races ago when they were here last time, in fact.
Yeah, you're right. It's yeah. Whenever we talk about that car, something seems to go wrong. I think it happened last time as well, didn't it? Really unfortunate, because again, it's been a good solid run from did at least spend a few laps in the lead. Not sure they probably had the pace to keep it here this weekend, but Tim Lewis there beckoning to the safety team for some sort of assistance, I guess.
Well, I think it needs a flat tour.
Just a quick note, by the way, we saw Matt Pombo clamber out at number 73 car. It was a tyre failure, apparently, that put that car off the road, I'm hearing from the team.
Yeah, he looked, as I think I said at the time, Jeremy, he got out the car and he was looking very ruefully at the left front tyre, and of course that's the loaded tyre as you go into turn one. Turn one is a very fast corner in anything. It is not a big braking area. There's two reasons for that. One, because it actually slightly opens out that corner, but also it's going uphill, so you don't need to brake hard. You get the car slowed down a little bit, then you turn the car in and get on the power very, very early to get yourself up the hill, and you let the car drift right out to the left-hand side. So you're not making a sharp turn, you're just turning in, and if he's lost the front tyre as he's been going in there, it would have been instantly transformed him from a driver into a passenger. And at that point, he's heading to the scene of the accident at very high speed indeed.
You're right, and you remember, of course, last year there were all sorts of problems, particularly for the Honda teams, and that LA Honda will suffered a massive amount of damage, particularly I think at Watkins Glen, and as well. They've just been really unfortunate with the way things have transpired, particularly for that team.
We can't tell you at the moment is what caused the issue, whether it was contact or something else on that, but that will be being looked at, I'm sure, by the Michelin technicians. Sad to say that the Alpha is going no further. Driver out of the number 5 car and looking, he's looking underneath. I think he's had an oil pressure or a engine temperature warning on that car and decided to call it a day rather than risking an engine. Shea Adam has an update for us in this VP Racing Fuels Pit and Paddock Report.
Many thanks to Tom Moore for tracking this one down. The 38 BGB car was retired because the gearbox was overheating. That's a rare one.
Yeah, that was the car that had the fastest lap of the race in GS. It's taking rather a long time to decide what to do with this Alpha. We've now been under yellow for quite some time, although not all of it was caused by this car. Yeah, not all of it caused by this car. But we've now got a flatbed there, so they've decided it's not going to be flat towed, it needs to be recovered. It's going to have about, I reckon, about 7 or 8 minutes only, so that's going to be 5 or 6 laps. The man, I think, who's probably most frustrated about this is in 5th at the moment in the urban grid, green and white. Rebel Rock Racing Camaro, and that's Robin Liddell, who has a very quick car indeed and is yet to be able to get that car up to speed. I think he needs to get heat into the tyres before that car can unleash its full performance potential. So these short runs are not working for the number 71. But how about this? Robin Liddell versus Bill Oberlin. Get your popcorn, settle back.
Yeah, it's interesting because the top 3 cars, they were 3 of the 4 that came into the pits right before the previous full course caution when the number 73 car crashed. So they got their pit stops done back out onto the racetrack, and those are the top 3 cars on the racetrack right now. Number 95 car was one of the that needed. There was a very quick stop during that caution period, and that car has up into the next position on the road ahead of number 7164. The rest of the cars down the order from there were all on that same strategy. They came in during that caution period rather than before it.
Now, what a stop-start race we have had. The longest green, just 24 minutes, and that was in between the second and third safety car period. Just 12 minutes at the start, then another 5 minutes, then that 24-minute run, and then 2 very long safety car periods, in fact 3 very long safety car periods now. Nearly 20 minutes the first one, nearly 14 minutes the second, 17.5 minutes the third, and we're already over 14 minutes for this. So well more than half the race spent behind the safety car. Can't be helped.
No, it's just a really scrappy race.
Yeah, very scrappy. That's a very good way of describing it, Jeremy. Good news is, as far as we know, all the drivers who have been involved in these incidents are okay. All certainly got out of their cars under their own steam, as it were. Carol Brink. Hello, Carol, in Monterey, California. Has a fabulous view down on the Monterey Bay there. Carol says, right, how long will the dash for cash be? I reckon 6.5 minutes. Between 6 and 6.5. Oh, might be a bit more than that, Carol. The Alpha is moving again, albeit not under 4-cylinder Alpha Turbo power. It's on the back of the Ford rollback. They should be able to take the cut through at turn 5 and get off the track, and therefore dive down through the infield and not have to go all the way around. And that's exactly what they're doing. They know how to do it. Right, well, I'm going to revise that now and say, where are they at the moment?
Coming out of the last turn.
Ah, that's a shame. So it is, yeah, unfortunately, that's going to cost us another 3 minutes. It's only 5 minutes. 5 minutes of a race, maybe 6, isn't it? As they come through. I really think this has hurt the chances of Robin Liddell. I do, because it seems that Camaro comes to life in the longer runs, and he really hasn't had a shot at that. He was flying in that 24 minutes at green, really making up positions, and since then hasn't been able to get the Camaro up to speed. Good news, by the way, if you're a Camaro fan, or indeed if you're a Mustang fan and you like your pony cars, or your 21st century pony cars, the Aussie Supercar Championship going to a modified GT4 format for 2021, and the first, and so far the only 2 cars in the Gen 3 regulations, as they are called, are the Mustang and the Camaro. And of course later on this weekend it is the Bathurst 1000, race 31 of their series, which will finish their season, and the vast majority of that race with potential of weather down in Bathurst coming
because
straight,
of course,
yes, coming straight after the Motul Petit Le Mans in what will be the early hours of Sunday morning. So we're coming back to green stand by for action. The safety car, the BMW safety car, lights out and away it goes, and leaves the field under the control of Robbie Foley for Turner Motorsport. So here's how they'll restart in single file. Foley from Voss, so Turner BMW, from Murillo Mercedes, from Bimmerworld BMW, from Turner BMW, from Rebel Rock Camaro, from Core Aston Martin, from Winward Mercedes, then the Ford Mustang and PF, then the McLaren and Motorsport in action, and then the second Winward car. That's your top 10. And we're back underway. Green flag in the air, 6:20 to go. Tanny doing a great job waving that, wielding that green flag. Bit of a gap between the first three and everybody else, and Liddell immediately goes to the inside and immediately goes up to fourth position. He's got a bit of room now to catch the cars. He drifted a tiny bit wide there through turn one, but he did that magnificently on cold Michelin tyres. That was a very confident move indeed. Top three have got away, Foley, Fossen, Leifhuger, with now Robin Liddell in fourth position ahead of Bill Oberlin, then Marcelli, Bastien, McCumbee, Lewis, Udell, Dylan Murray for Riley in the 35 wins car just outside the top 10. And I don't know how he does this, but the Scotsman's got that Camaro switched on straight away, Jeremy, and even though the tyres cannot be warm, remember what he did at Road America in the wet, granted, but he gets back to pace very quickly after the green flag.
Yeah, it's been a good restart, certainly for Robbie Foley here, and looking to score the first win for his co-driver Vin Barletta. And BMW there is up into second place now. Gregory Leifhuge makes that pass on Eric Foss is ahead on that back straight down towards turn 10. He's got that pass cleanly made.
And here comes Liddell. Liddell closing in now on the AMG GT4 down through the final corner. Full flat four-wheel drift from the Camaro. He's leaving nothing on the table. The Scotsman is in one of those moods, and when he's in one of those moods, take a couple of steps back from the side of the circuit if you're listening on 98.1 FM at Road Atlanta Radio, because Liddell is on a tear. The Urban Grid Rebel Rock Camaro now right with the top four. He's bridged that gap. He's dragged Bill Oberlin with him. Now, how quick can he make the move? Can he make the move on Eric Voss and go into third place, Jeremy?
Yeah, well, exactly right. He's certainly going to try, but Eric Voss, he's still chasing that first win in GS, and we've been a bit surprised there to see Gregory Leifhuge making that pass. And we know the Mercedes is fast, we know the Chevrolet is fast, but we're going to see now. I don't think the Chevrolet is going to be any. I don't think the Mercedes is going to be any match for the straight. We will see.
Three cars together, BMW, AMG GT4. Liddell immediately goes to the left-hand side, starts to think about the out-braking manoeuvre down into turn 8, doesn't need to, he's passed, got a great exit from turn 7, a nice drag.
No, that's horsepower.
Fantastic stuff. Liddell through into third, 3 minutes 33 seconds to go. Now, how much further up the field can he get, Jeremy? Last time around for Liddell, that was a 28.2, so not the fastest of laps, but my goodness, he's carving his way through the field now.
Yeah, and it won't be white flag next time, so we'll have 3 laps to go in this race. He's certainly got the time to get this done as Robin Liddell. He's got the fastest car, I think, out there at the moment. The Chevrolet always looks after its tyres really well, as does the Aston Martin, but the best of the Astons is down in 6th position. That's Kyle Marcelli, and he'll be happy with that, because with the number 39 car out of contention in this race, that'll give Nate Stacey, Kyle Marcelli a very clear championship lead heading into the final 2 races of the season. But it's all
an old change in TCR, Jeremy, because the Copeland machine has gone through on the 98. Happened a moment or two ago. Still the flapping hood on the 27 car. Noticed it as they came across the line. You can't miss that white and bright orange as he came through, and the light blue car in second position. All happened side by side through turn 10A and 10B. But this could be a remarkable debut for Copeland and the 2 young Tylers in that car. That would be, what a fairy tale that could be, Jeremy.
Yeah, no kidding. 2 16-year-olds, are you kidding me?
Unbelievable stuff. Meantime, BMWs are fighting And oh, there's a big rub coming out of 10B. That's naughty. Very naughty indeed. And that was Bill Oberlin and Eric Voss. And Nico Baston has taken advantage of that. I think Oberlin may have a puncture actually. That's the second time Voss has ushered a BMW off on that corner. It wasn't just the contact, it was the continued contact, Jeremy, coming through the right-hander.
Yeah, he just, yeah, looked to me like he kind of deliberately run. I'll have to look at it again. I was looking to the beginning of that replay. So I don't think that was particularly necessary at that point in the racetrack.
And last couple of laps, I suppose, all is fair is what he's going to say. Just 3/4 of a second, Foley from Leerfoog. And then Liddell, 3/10 further back. Still the battle between the Hyundais. They're still battling. The Copeland car still with the flapping hood. That's got to be causing some aerodynamic disadvantage. Or is it a movable aerodynamic device and he's getting an advantage from that? I can't. It's not very chaparral-like though, is it? There's one for the teenagers as they head out to turn number 7. Time will elapse this time around. Where are the leaders? Where is Foley? He's gone through. So they won't. Yeah, they won't get the white. Will they have had the white flag as they went by last time? I think that hood's going to come off on that 27 car if they're not careful, you know. It's side by side. White flag now for the leaders. So a couple of corners and another lap, and the lead has changed again in TCR. Same point of the circuit into turns 10A and 10B. These cars, both Hyundais, and sort of customer racing, but they are not teammates, Jeremy, in the strictest sense of the word.
They are not, but that was a clean move there, I think, by the number 98 car. But you know, what does Tyler Maxson have for Michael Lewis, the defending series champion? I think quite a bit. This is going to be an entertaining final lap. Robbie Foley, though, the previous lap, he turned his best lap of the race in car number 96. He holds the lead of about a second on this final lap, with the BMW also in second position.
Yeah, Bimmerworld in second, Rebel Rock in third. I think Robert Liddell needed to clear that second BMW a little bit early if he was going to have a shot at the lead. Going down towards turn 6, the two Hyundais are at it again. What a battle this is. Cut to the inside for Tyler Maxson. Can he get past that number 98 car, Mikey Lewis? He's trying not to look in his mirrors. Went a little bit wide there at turn 7 and immediately pulls over to the right-hand side of the road, trying to break the toe. He knew he didn't get the best exit from turn 7. Maxson now tucked right in under the rear aerofoil. Third position, by the way, is the Atlanta Speedways Honda Civic, not that far away. Checkered flag is out. Turner wins from Bimmerworld, from Robin Liddell in third for Rebel Rock Racing as they speed through, and it's absolutely nip and tuck for these two. Dive down the inside of turn 12, it's the last chance, but a big block from the middle of the road thrown by the 98. That's fair. Oh, half a car's length in it. Half a car's, no more. 0.099 of a second. It just one side door of a Hyundai Veloster, and the short side door at that between them. Absolutely fabulous in that dash for Cass in the last 6.5 minutes. The win goes to Hyundai and the 98 car in the TCR. Robbie Foley anchors home the 96, and that will be Vin Barletta's first time on the top step of the podium in Michelin Pilot Challenge. Great run at the end from Bimmerworld, and Robert Liddell ran out of laps. Eric Voss survives just about to 4th position, and that's incident has been reviewed, say race control. No action from that. No action. Well, Bill Oberlin has raced a long time and he's got a very long memory, and I would suggest that might come back to haunt that AMG. Racing room was definitely not given on the exit. In fact, Eric Voss was on the curb and Bill Oberlin was well over it. So, Jeremy Shaw, a race that was frustrating in some respects because of the stop-start nature and the intervention of 4 safety cars. We only had, the longest green flag was 24 minutes, but it was the 7 minutes or so at the end that really provided us with all of the action.
Yeah, that was a wild race, was it not? Absolutely tremendous excitement. And I tell you what, Michael Lewis, he had to work super hard to keep the youngster Tyler Maxson behind him. Brilliant performance by that Coppola Motorsports team, but hats off to Michael Lewis using all of his experience there. He was weaving from side to side on the back straight, wasn't he, coming down into the chicane for the final time. Just about did enough to hold off the youngster. Great stuff.
Let's go to Shea Adam for this VP Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock report. Shea.
I believe we have Mason Filippi on the line. Mason, can you still breathe after the end of that one? What a battle!
Oh, I mean, that was quite the battle, and Michael and Maxon were just getting really tight in those Hyundai Veloster and TCR cars. They're such amazing cars, and it was awesome to see the Brian Hurd Autosport crew just killing in every pit stop today, and the Copeland crew as well. Can't wait for the next race at Laguna. Should be an awesome one.
And given the struggles that your team car had, the 33, I believe that this should put you and Michael back into the championship lead with only 2 rounds to go. How much confidence does that give you?
It gives a lot of confidence. Can't wait for these final 2 rounds. It's going to be really tight, but it should be a lot of fun.
Mason, it's Hindhoff here in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. Well done, mate. Was it difficult to get into the rhythm of that race with all the safety car interventions?
Oh, yes, it was crazy. It was like a bunch of little sprint races in there, and also with a couple of pit stops. The Lafayette Brian Hurd Autosport crew is amazing.
Well done, mate. On to the next one.
Yeah, thank you.
Shea Adam with that VP Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock report from the winning TCR team, the number 98, looking in pretty good condition actually. That light blue colour, one of the launch colours from the N performance versions of the Hyundais. That is their version of their sporting part of the brand, should I say. Hearing they're going to have a couple of sporting SUVs as well. And Jeremy Shaw has been doing a bit of quick arithmetic. Jeremy, what have you got on the points for us?
Yeah, in GS, what was a 7-point lead is now a 20-point lead for Nate Stacey and Kyle Marcelli, 234 to 214. Third position will remain Jim Cox and Dylan Murray. They finished in the top 10 today. Jeff Mosing and Eric Foss with that 4th place finish will move to, or will stay in 4th position and move to within 4 points of Cox and Murray. In the Manufacturers' Championship, Aston Martin will continue to lead. They came in here with a 3-point edge over both Audi and Mercedes. Aston Martin, I reckon, will have 242 points now to the 241 of Mercedes. And Audi will lose some ground there in the 3rd position, but will remain 3rd in the manufacturer points in GS.
And TCR,
Ryan Norman and Gabby Chavez came with a 7-point edge over Mason Filippi and Michael Lewis. But with the win today, Mason Filippi and Michael Lewis, their 2nd win of the season, they EIR, they will now have 230 points to the 222 of Ryan Norman and Gabby Chavez, and the 219 of Harry Gottsacker and Wilkins. So Hyundai remains 1, 2, 3 in the points in TCR. Manufacturers, Hyundai will extend its lead in a manufacturers TCR championship.
Very interesting indeed. I don't know how you sum that one up. I thought Mason Filippi was pretty close. It was like a little, 3, 4, 5 sprint races. We have got winners. Turner Motorsports will be celebrating this weekend, and so will Brian Herter Autosport, and it's onwards. But that one, it's not going to be a classic, Jeremy, but it keeps the championship interesting.
In what, in GS?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they've pretty got. It's going to be awfully difficult to catch now. Nate Stacey and Kyle Marcelli, 20 points to catch over 2 races. It's certainly feasible. It just needs one bad race for the number 60 team, as indeed we had the problem today for number 39. So it's certainly overcomable, but it's a pretty handy lead with 2 races to go. 20 points, that's a good margin. It's been a super consistent season for Nate Stacey, Carl Marcelli. This 6th place finish, they've had another 6th, they've had a 7th, otherwise is their worst finish on this year, to go along with their 2 wins and 2 seconds. So it's been a super consistent season for that Core Motorsports Aston Martin team.
That brings us to the end of our broadcast from Fast Friday at the Motul Petit Le Mans. The Fox Factory 120 rounds up a very, very busy day. And it is Motul Petit Le Mans on Saturday. But we have some Porsche racing too before that. So make sure you join us nice and early for warm-up, for Porsches, and of course for the Saturday feature race, Motul Petit Le Mans, live on IMSA Radio RS2, and of course around the world on IMSA.tv, XM Sirius as well in the United States. On behalf of Johnny Palmer, Shea Adam and Jeremy Shaw, as well as our production team back in London under Tim Gray, and everyone in Charlotte under Keith D'Alessandro, and the responsible adult was Eve Hewitt. And the very brilliant Dave Miller made sure that you heard us here at the track and on FM 98.1 as well. Enjoy the rest of your Friday evening. We'll be back on Super Saturday for Motul Petit Le Mans.